manage the existing system. In the next 5–10 years, we have to improve 3 areas: safety, operation, and maintenance. Among which, safety is the most important because we are still very behind to the world average level.
Thank you. How about in Korea, Dr. Choi?
Yeah, in terms of Korea, it's, for the next 5 or 10 years later, we are expecting less in construction. So in terms of the IT technology, we are very advanced. So we are trying to incorporate IT technology with some also for the management, especially for the some with trying to involve with some to face of the global warming effects.
Thank you. How about down in Australia and New Zealand? I'm going to do it in the order of the speakers. So.
All right, I was wondering what the...
yeah, no.
I was trying to work out our surnames and see if there was some linkage. I think in New Zealand our biggest challenge is the rebuild of Christchurch and then keeping on going with the rest of the country and how those two things work together, and then on to dealing with the whole issues of resilience on a bigger picture. If I put in context of Canada, if you look in Vancouver, you've got all the bridges across the harbour there. Lions Gate looks like the important one. I think it's the second Narrows is actually your important bridge. Underneath it is strapped the oil lines and power and everything else. And and we've got the same in New Zealand, where we've got some bits of infrastructure where we know if something happened at that one spot, we lose a lot. So if we lost the Auckland Harbour Bridge, I'd have a good excuse not to go to work for the day, but we also lose the water supply and the power supply, so suddenly I'm not at work, all I can do is go to the beach. So
thank you. Bill, what's the situation in the U.S. next 5 years in your mind of challenge?
I think the challenge is recognizing that we have this infrastructure problem and putting it in context and being able to set priorities and where we're going to put our funding. There's a big push now to understand how do we cope with the immense debt we have in the country and trying to balance that against healthcare and all of the other issues that we have. But I think the problem is going to get infrastructure, getting it to raise to the point where people understand it's important and how it relates to quality of life and what people need and want. And the cost of paying for that is going to be the biggest challenge that we've ever faced, I think, and we'll see how we do.
Okay, and Guy, final word for Canada?
That's a heavy burden.
You're a politician.
We have to realize that changing the way we've been doing over the last 70 or 80 years is not going to be, it's not going to be done overnight. And I think that if we look at what's been happening at this conference and other conferences, there's been great progress in terms of talking about better asset management. If you, my vision in 5 to 10 years is that whenever there are going to be any new funding programs, whether federal, provincial, and so on, asset management is going to be a prerequisite to access that money.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to close this session with many thanks to a lot of folks. First one to MediaCo to keep Rise on the line here and make all this technology work. So thank you, appreciate that. As a moderator, I was nervous, to be honest. Next, and certainly not least at all 6 speakers. I want to give you a great big thank you for the very, very interesting presentations and perspectives I think that have given us around the world. And so great thank you to you, please. And in deference to receiving a gift of some sorts, oft-times speakers get, the conference has decided to instead to make a donation to Engineers Without Borders on each of your behalf. So your name will be acknowledged, I think, through that donation with our many thanks for this presentation. And lastly, to the audience, thank you for being here and engaging in the discussion. I hope everybody learned just a little bit. I sure did myself. Thank you very much.